Hey, today we're going to talk about effective communication in the workplace. And great communication isn't just about making connections, it's how you influence, lead, and get ahead in your career and in your business. Whether you're leading a team, you're hiring, or managing a project, your ability to communicate impactfully can make or break your success. I'm going to discuss 5 powerful tips. Never underestimate the impact of your executive presence. And that isn't just the way you are dressed, it is the way you communicate. So tip number 1 is lead with clarity and intent. People don't just need information, they need direction. So I was having a conversation with someone yesterday, and they are an exit planner and have started to create content for other exit planners. And they made a comment that they never thought they'd be in marketing. I paused and said, well, you're not in marketing. What you are is you are doing content creation for exit planners. And we chatted a little bit further, and they were getting ready for a prospect call. And they looked at me and they said, wow, that's so much more impactful. Thank you for that. So oftentimes people feel the need to be boisterous, loud, use a lot of words, but most people nowadays really value if you can get what you're trying to say into a sound bite and it's impactful to them, because then they know what to do with it. So in short, whether it's an email, a meeting, one-on-one, any kind of personal communication, in short, be clear about the purpose of the communication and your intent and the action you want others to take, and you will be surprised at the actual response that you receive. The second tip about communicating is actually about listening. So you really want to listen to understand what the person that you're speaking with is saying, because good leaders don't just talk, they really listen to the people that are speaking to them, and they adjust how they are going to present back the information or maybe build their case in the context of what people are saying to them. This is where self-awareness really comes in. In other words, I actually had somebody recently say to me, you have a client who's not really taking action on what you're saying, and I've seen you sort of serve up the suggestion in multiple ways. And they went so far as to say, what's their human design? Because that's how somebody actually hears. So I was like, that's a really great point. And I made it a point to actually go ask that, because now I have to adjust how I'm communicating to be impactful and to motivate others and have them also communicate effectively forward. So if I'm talking to a team about a project and there's someone in that team managing the project, they are going to reflect the communication style. So if there's resistance or concern or questions, taking a pulse, hearing the person and what they're saying, and communicating back in such a way that you drive motivation. And, also the act of listening allows you to read between the lines. So in that same team environment, if you're reading between the lines, you sort of know what your answer needs to be to drive motivation. Okay, so tip number 3 is that you want to master concise and impactful messaging. In our fast-paced environments, if it takes you 5 minutes to say something that you can say in 30 seconds, you're going to lose your audience. They're also not going to get the impact that a clear and concise message brings. So, consider somebody who is trying to talk about how they help improve revenue in a sales function. If someone says, I help CEOs identify and analyze various missed revenue opportunities that may be presented within their current sales management and the operational frameworks, team performance, et cetera, to optimize financial performance, they may leave somebody at a bit of a loss versus someone who turns around and says, I help CEOs pinpoint the gaps in their sales people and processes that are costing them revenue, and I have systems to improve them. Now that person has impact and they are being listened to. Fourth tip is to adapt the style to the audience. I sort of touched on this earlier. There's a whole host of ways that you can consider adapting your style. So are you talking to a fellow peer? Are you talking VP to VP, C-suite to C-suite? Are you talking to an intern? Are you talking to a group of associates that maybe don't have the level of experience that you do? It's not a one size fits all, whether you're in your organization and especially if you're outside your organization. So you really want to know who your audience is and speak to them at the level of which they are understanding the task. I think it's important to remember, if you are not adjusting what you are saying to the right audience, you could lose your impact, which is the whole point of what we're talking about, right? You want to adapt your style to your audience so you don't lose impact. So if you need that CEO to say, yes, I need you, you can see how that second example I gave says, okay, I know what I'm talking to you about. Whereas the first example is either going to lead to a longer conversation that may not get you the result, or you may not even get treated to someone asking more open-ended questions around that. And then the fifth area for communication that I want to talk about is nonverbal cues. So in NLP training, we often talk about pacing. So you speak at the other person's tone, and, how often have you been with that executive that's just do it now? They're standing in your office. They want to run out and you're sitting there flabbergasted because you're not quite sure what was said. That's where, it's important for you, especially if you're the executive at the door, to say, okay, let me take a pause. Did you get that? Are you with me? As if the person who's sitting there has their eyes wide open and they're not quite sure, feel like they've gotten hit by a train, they're most likely not going to take action on what you've asked them to. So pacing is a big thing. Also, leaning in, so someone feels heard. Again, if we're talking about active listening, it's great to lean in. Also, if you are paying attention to someone who might be looking at their phone or they're sitting back in their chair, looking around, these are times where, you want to then lean in and say, did I say something you didn't understand? Are we talking about something that you don't feel is relevant? Again, open-ended questions, but it's all based on body language. Then you could also have that person who's leaning in and they really want to get started. And so also, address that enthusiasm. I see how enthusiastic you are. Where do you want to get started? So again, it is about having impact and executive presence. So which of these tips are you leaning into? What are you already using? What can you work on? Leave some comments in the comments below. I would love to have a conversation. And also, if you have some experiences of things that people have done really well or things that you don't ever want to see again, put those in the comments too. I really look forward to talking with you more about how we can all communicate more impactfully, concisely, clearly. So to go through the 5 tips of effective communication, it's lead with clarity and intent, listen to understand what people are saying, actively listen, master concise and impactful messaging, adopt your style to your audience, and really pay attention to those nonverbal cues. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.